Welcome to Radio Graham. Today we're going into two labour issues. First, I was a union delegate for 25 years at the Department of Primary Industry. My union was the Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance. My union mates gave me this.
Trades Hall was the centre of union activity in the 1909 and 1919-20 strikes. The home of the Barrier Industrial Council and today, after careful restoration, a historic landmark. It is owned by the union members of Broken Hill and is managed by the Broken Hill Trades Hall Trust, which is a board of trustees consisting of elected delegates from each of the affiliated unions of the Barrier Industrial Council. The Trades Hall symbolises the combined strength of the unions, which over the years has helped sustain the comparatively peaceful relations between workers and management in Broken Hill. Broken Hill is predominantly a working class community, proud of its history and determined to look after its heritage. It gave the workers of Australia the 35-hour week. The campaign for humane working hours began with the struggle to improve the lot of underground miners who were coughing up their guts and being killed by lung disease caused by working long hours in the dusty mines. Many of them died in their 30s, leaving behind wives and children. No other Australian city has experienced the industrial strife that Broken Hill has endured. It led to the founding of the labour movement and the working conditions which most of us now enjoy. The city's character has been shaped and its courage tested by long and bitter strikes. The early explorer named Charles Sturt in 1844, while searching for a great inland sea, followed the rivers west. When he arrived at the rugged ranges surrounding Broken Hill, he started to have serious doubts that there was any inland sea. He named the ranges the Barrier Ranges, for obvious reasons. While in Broken Hill, Sturt took time out to climb a large black rocky outcrop. Describing the outcrop in his diary as the Broken Hill, the locals described it as a useless hill of mullet. But in 1883, it was a boundary rider named Charles Rasp who thought this weird-looking hill was hiding more than just sheep, and so it was. Here he found heavy rocks with flecks of metallic ore all the way through them. This discovery was to change the Australian industrial landscape forever. Broken Hill Proprietary, BHP, so long Australia's largest and most powerful enterprise, began here in Broken Hill, with its shareholders signing the register in the back room of the Silverton Hotel. The initial capital was £15,000. This is where the figures become really interesting, because within a year this figure had grown to £1.5 million. Not only had Charles Rasp and his shareholders become wealthy, but what he had discovered was the largest lead, zinc and silver ore body in the world. As the company profits grew above the ground, the death toll beneath the ground also grew. The conditions the miners worked in were extremely bad. In the first 30 years of mining, over 300 deaths occurred on the mines, and so many more from the dust and poisons from their surroundings. Companies did little to better the situation. BHP even charged its employees 4 shillings out of their first pay for the use of a shovel. It's no wonder strikes eventuated in the town. The strikes of 1892 and 1909 lockout were particularly bitter as the government backed the companies and sent trainloads of scabs and police reinforcements to the town. In retaliation, the miners armed themselves as well and bloody fights everywhere broke out. When the miners finally gave in to the companies, it had the effect of cementing the union's rise to power, bringing together one all-powerful workers' parliament, the Barrier Industrial Council. This unique organisation has been the most influential force in the city's politics. As the boom took hold in Broken Hill, bark huts gave way to grand Victorian buildings, like this one, Trades Hall. The first great trial of strength between the Broken Hill unions and the mining companies came in July 1892. Against the background of economic depression and sharply falling silver and lead prices, the mining companies introduced a contract system, paying miners according to ore mined rather than hours worked. The miners resisted and went on strike. For them, the that companies were trying to break their union to undermine their working conditions and introduce dangerous mining practices. After 18 weeks of riots, attacks on imported labour, referred to as scabs and blacklegs, and the arrest and trial of strike leaders, the strike collapsed. The unions were shattered and remained dormant for a decade. But the events of 1892 strengthened the city. Broken Hill people identified more strongly with the aspirations of their fellow workers and hardened in their hatred of the big mine, BHP. The second major confrontation came in the 1909 lockout. It emerged as a result of BHP announcing it would discontinue the 12.5% pay increase granted to mine workers in 1906. Companies such as BHP, which had mined their richest and most accessible ore, decided to cut wages and the unions retaliated. But this time the companies were not united. The richer mines stayed open, thereby providing the striking miners with the relief funds from thousands of unions still working. The strike which followed lasted 20 long and bitter weeks. Eventually the miners agreed to return to work at pre-dispute conditions. It was an empty victory as the BHP mine remained closed until 1911. However, the unions had achieved their objective. Wage levels would be maintained and all mines would have to abide by them or cease working. While lacking the bitter clashes of the 1892 and 1909 strikes, the industrial dispute, which started in May 1919, turned into the longest in Australia's history. It came at the end of a 3-year agreement between the unions and the mining companies, and for the 18 months it took to hammer out an acceptable new agreement, the mines stayed shut. The unions justified their claims by insisting that working conditions underground were disastrous to health, and that became the central issue of the strike. They were determined to win, and they enjoyed strong support from their fellow citizens and from unions throughout the country. The Chapman Commission showed that 1 in every 7 underground miners examined had miners' disease. Mr. Justice Edmonds decided in their favour. It is doubtful if any other strike in Australia ever won so much. Increased wages, a 35-hour week, the abolition of the night shift underground, and much more.